Today on Live Daily News, a threat made some Contra Valley schools close down today. The new Starbucks is open on Knickerbocker, and San Jacinto Elementary School has been declared unsafe. I'm James Bellini, and this is Live. We'll get to the news in a minute, but first, the 2024 presidential debate is being held tomorrow, and you can catch all the coverage when Donald Trump takes on Kamala Harris at the ArcLight Bar and Grill, who will be having drink specials from 4 o'clock in the afternoon until closing, in honor of the two politicians going head-to-head. The ArcLight Bar and Grill will have $5 Red Wave margaritas, $4 Willie Brown shots, and the coldest draft beer in town. Watch the debate how it was meant to be seen on the largest video wall in San Angelo at the ArcLight Bar and Grill located at 441 Rio Concho Drive at the Clarion Hotel. Starting things off, according to a report made by the San Angelo Independent School District, main building A at San Jacinto Elementary School has been deemed unsafe after it took considerable damage believed to be caused by seismic activity. Structural engineers recommended not using the building and removing all the essential items. The City of San Angelo will be reviewing all the information gathered to determine the next steps to be taken as it relates to the building. A presentation of the facility damage assessment is scheduled as the report-only item for the San Angelo ISD board meeting on September 16th. Last month, we reached out to SAISD, who said a thorough evaluation of the building is completed and ensuring the safety of their students and their staff is their top priority. The new Starbucks on Knickerbocker Road has officially opened. Starbucks took over the old Bush's Chicken location located at 1225 Knickerbocker Road, right next to Cheddar's. Starbucks was issued a permit in the amount of $400,000 to renovate the building, and this makes 6 Starbucks in San Angelo, with 1 at ASU, 2 on Sherwood Way, 1 at 3rd and Bryant, and 1 inside Market Street. Have you downloaded the San Angelo Live mobile app yet? It's free and it's the best app in the business. Download it off the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store to stay up to date with news in San Angelo. And Brady ISD canceled classes today after a threat was called in to neighboring Rochelle ISD over the weekend. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office notified Rochelle ISD as the identity of the caller was unknown. Out of caution, Brady ISD canceled classes as the investigation was going on, and it was confirmed that the threat was not a student at Rochelle, but it actually came from South America. Into weather, rain is out of the forecast and it looks like it'll be sunny all week long. Right now it's 77 degrees outside with a high of 85 and a low tonight of 54. Tomorrow that will be nice as well with a high of 88 and a low tomorrow night around 60. And then on Wednesday the high will be up around 90 and then Wednesday night the low will be 63. The rest of the week though, the highs slowly start to climb up, but it doesn't look like it will break the 100-degree mark, and condition-wise it'll be sunny all week long and mostly clear at night. When we come back, Bobcats head coach Mark Smith addressed the media at his weekly press conference, and then Del Valasquez stops by to talk about Hispanic Heritage Month. But first, a word from the Bass Bunch.
It's our giant tag sale.
Giant tags plus hail means one thing: giant tag hail sale prices. Right now, during our giant tag hail sale, you can get a brand new 2024 Ford Explorer XLT for just $32,977. But hurry, these are selling fast. Our giant tag hail sale at Jim Bass Cars and Trucks, Houston Hart at Arden Road, or shop 24/7 at bassbunch.com.
I think just the resiliency, a team that just had fight all the way despite, some pretty bad circumstances, some things that, we kind of dug ourselves into our own hole early in the game, but a team that just didn't flinch, that said, you know what, no matter what the circumstances were, this drive is the most important drive in the game. This stop is the most important stop in the game. And we saw ourselves inch back in, one drive, one stop at a time, with a big hole, anytime that you have 5 turnovers in a game, it's extremely hard to win. It's hard to win when you have 2 or 3, much less 5, and with 3 interceptions and we fumble a kickoff return and give them a ball on a short field, and we have a punt block for a touchdown. So all those things kind of combined, and then to be able to fight back in, the resiliency the team showed, the no quit, and just the disposition that it takes to be in that situation and keep going. I was very proud of the team for that.
Yeah, Coach, whenever you're taking over a program, the wins are not always going to come right away. But is it good to see, at least early on, your team is always willing to fight back?
That's exactly right. That's what I take from this game. Disappointed that we lost the game. Felt like this is a game that was, there for us to win had we played cleaner. But nonetheless, I saw a team that, was really down, and in a bad situation on the scoreboard, but I didn't sense that on the sideline or with the guys that were there. It was just, let's continue going. What can I do to improve? What are the little adjustments we're going to make for this particular drive? That was the attitude and the mental disposition the players had. And when you got a team that's hungry like that, then, now you clean up those things and don't make all those mistakes. Now you're winning that game, by 2 or 3 touchdowns.
What are some changes you guys are potentially looking at making on defense to kind of prevent these shootout games, seeing as how the offense has been clicking?
Yeah, I felt like the second half, other than how we opened the second half, we really settled down and got a stop, another stop, another stop, another stop as we kind of closed it out. And it wasn't like they didn't have their backups in the game. They had all their really guys in there. We just settled in and just, played with a little more vision in the secondary, a little more coverage eyes on what we're doing. And then, sound in our run fits. We weren't perfect by any means, but the guys settled down into the game, and I think that it's taken almost 6 quarters of football for those guys to settle in. But, the last 2 quarters of football they played have been really solid, and we're just hoping to build on that going forward this week.
Hey, Coach, how do you personally feel about coaching against Abilene Cooper, going into Shotwell?
Yeah. That I grew up like a stone's throw away from the stadium. Just a lot of really good memories. A tremendous amount of respect for that school and that place. And it's special to me. I rode my bike up to the stadium. I remember coming up there. My neighborhood was just on the other side of the fairgrounds, and would look through the gate and the fence there and watch whoever was playing. And just a lot of good memories there. But for me, 25 seasons in doing this, it's somebody else is across the field, and I'm going against those guys, and it really doesn't matter, if it's my hometown where I went to school or someplace that I've never been to before. So, great deal of appreciation and respect, but at the same time, when it's time to go play, not even something I think about or consider.
Yeah, Coach, and obviously it's your hometown, it's your alma mater. What are some things that you've seen on tape that maybe you can take advantage of, or things that you need to look out for?
Yeah, this is another really solid team. As you look at it and you evaluate over the weekend, and what are some areas where we feel like that we can, have an advantage against this team. And there's always those things that you see. And what did other teams hurt them with that maybe we can hurt them with as well? And then some creative ways that we come up with on our own to attack opponents. So I think what kind of strikes me most about, Abilene Cooper is that you've got a solid team all the way around. I don't know that there's particularly one guy that man, this guy's a real problem, or we got to have an answer for this right here. But just an overall solid group, that doesn't beat themselves very often. They've lost 2 games as well this season, played 2 really good teams, just like we have. And, I think it's going to be 2 hungry teams, seeing if they can kind of get it all together and have it click more than the other team. So that kind of resiliency that we talked about as we open this press conference is going to pay off, I believe, for us. If we can just clean up, some of our own self-inflicted wounds. That was my message to the team this morning. If we don't let the Bobcats beat the Bobcats, we'll be just fine.
We talked about turnovers, talked about resiliency. Going into week 3, who are some of the guys that you've seen on your team who have really stepped up and taken on, leadership roles?
Yeah, I think, defensively, I think Mason Van Sickle has really kind of grabbed the mantle of leadership within that group, and he's backed it up with his play, with an inconsistent overall defense. I think he's been that kind of that light, that shining light there that's had a consistent performance at a high level, and he's gathering people around him and getting them on his level, so to speak, of play defensively. I think on offense, Christian English has played well. I think you have to be, good, solid with a foundation at quarterback, and the quarterbacks are also a product of how well people play around them. So I think Chase Cole and the offensive line, did a good job in the first week. We didn't run the football as well in the second week, but, we were able to throw the ball, get the ball on the perimeter a little bit more. I think you saw, Jimmy Edwards having another big game. Gavin Johnson kind of had a breakout game this last week, and Jesse Smith, those guys, Colton Hill, until he went down, with an ankle injury, having another really good game. So I think, offensively, the quarterback, the wideouts, I think really shined, last week. So hopefully we just build on that, and then we just put together a team performance here, get the running backs, tight ends, everybody involved.
Yeah, Coach, I think that was kind of one of the bigger questions coming into the season was kind of who would step up at the skill position
Yeah.
especially at running back. How happy have you been with their performance? You know, guys like Gavin
Yeah.
and,
Well, Gavin in particular, had a really good game, kind of his first opportunity there, and he catches a fast ball right there on our sideline and just outruns the defense, to the end zone, and then made several other big plays during the game. And as a young player, you kind of, when do you have that breakout moment where now, okay, all right, I've kind of officially broke the seal on playing here, and I think he had that moment on Friday night. Very proud of him. The running backs, we didn't run the ball as well, on this past Friday night, but that happens sometimes. They did some things that gave us problems in there, but that's, Coach Cope and the offensive staff, when one thing's not working, we don't just beat our head against the wall with that. He found creative ways to get the ball on the perimeter, and, down as much as we were, it's just score, got another stop, scored again, found ways, and, 31 consecutive points later, it's a 3-point game, and they're biting their fingernails off across the sideline. So I think that, every game has its own formula for finding a way to win, and some games it's relying more on a running game, some games it's relying more on a passing game, some games it's a good mix of both. So it's just different, getting a feel for it in that moment, and what do we need right now to be successful in this game.
Through the first 2 weeks of the season, what would you say the Bobcats' identity is?
I just think the resiliency. I've said that in here from the beginning. I think this team, they showed it to me early during training camp, that this team, has that ability, to not get too high or to get too low as the moments, are really good for you or not so good for you. So, I've been very, very pleased with that. I think it speaks of the culture within this locker room, within the team, within this, our entire unit, that, man, we just got a lot of fight, and I think that, as you put together that fight, that same amount of fight, and you clean up some of the self-inflicted wounds, then you see all those wins. And not only wins, you see them running away on the other end. And I think we're just kind of right on that edge. Like, when are we going to take that step to get to that point? And, my goal is to do that this week. All right. Thank you, guys.
It's hard to believe how reckless some people can be and how hard they fight against real victims. You need a partner who consistently beats the Giants and who will never, ever flinch.
And welcome back, everybody. James Bellini here. We have Mr. Del Valasquez in studio today. Mr. Valasquez, how are we doing?
Awesome. Thank you, James.
All right. We're talking about Hispanic Heritage Month today.
Correct. The kickoff for Hispanic Heritage Month for us in San Angelo is going to be Friday the 13th, right?
All right.
And we're doing City Hall back in 2019. That was our very first event that we put together as an organization. Actually, we weren't even an organization back then. It was just something that we felt needed to happen. And so we did a proclamation reading of the kickoff of Hispanic Heritage Month on the steps of City Hall. We had the Lakeview Mariachis. We had two young ladies that were dressed up in folkloric dance. They didn't dance, but they were there. Yeah. And then, and it was really an oversight of, an overview of what Hispanic Heritage Month is all about. So just from a historical perspective, in 1968, President Lyndon Baines Johnson proclaimed Hispanic Heritage Week. And then in 1988, President Ronald Reagan extended it from September the 15th through October the 15th as National Hispanic Heritage Month. Okay. And so we're going to be doing the kickoff at City Hall at 10 o'clock on Friday. And we've got music, we've got dancers, we've got the Lakeview Mariachis.
Those kids put in so much work, man. I'm telling you. They sound incredible.
They are really, really good. And so we've got that planned for the kickoff. But our big event is going to be on Monday, September the 16th.
Okay, the following next Monday.
Right, that's right. And so we will be celebrating a banquet. We're having the second annual banquet celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. And our guest speaker is no other than Dr. Jose Hernandez. Dr. Hernandez was the first immigrant American to fly into space on August 2009. Right. Yes, he was on STS mission 128 and flying as an astronaut during that time. But last year, or excuse me, earlier this year, a movie came out, a biopic of his life, and it's called A Million Miles Away. I haven't seen it. You ought to take a look at it. It's really a telling of how someone who comes from basically almost nothing and then rises all the way up to become an astronaut. So he will be our speaker, our keynote speaker on that evening. And it's sold out. It sold out months ago, and so it's been a very fun event to be associated with and working with. So in 2019, as I mentioned, we did that event, and shortly after that, we created the San Angelo Hispanic Heritage Facebook page, and we started profiling individuals from San Angelo or Tom Green County who were instrumental in helping our community develop of Hispanic heritage. And so we noticed that there was an outpouring of interest in the Facebook page. And within 3 to 4 months, we already had 90,000 views, which is pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
And so we thought, well, there's an opportunity here maybe for us to do something even more meaningful. And in that process, we came up with the idea to establish a Hispanic Heritage Museum and Cultural Center to pay tribute to these individuals who have played a big role in our community in support of that. The cultural part of it is really because of the Hispanic community or Hispanic culture is very ingrained in West Texas with the food, the music, and the art. We thought that would be a way for us to be able to showcase the talent of our individuals that have and work in those fields, i.e. the Lakeview Mariachis. So that's our vision and our dream, and that's what we're working towards. And we started again this initiative in 2020. Bad year to start, COVID, but we were successful. We had our first event was Dia de los Muertos event in that October, and it was, of course, very sparse because of COVID.
Right.
But we did a virtual, and we were again just blown away with the numbers of interest of people who watched the videos, explaining the idea of what Dia de los Muertos is. In case you don't know what Dia de los Muertos is, it's the Day of the Dead.
No, and it's a big
yes,
too.
And it's become an event that has really fostered not only the Hispanic community but interest across the board. So it has. I have a good friend that I graduated from high school told me that he's been going to San Antonio for years to the Dia de los Muertos celebration there. He's not Hispanic, by the way, and he found it extremely interesting that we were doing it, that we had started one here in San Angelo, and of course we will have one again this year in October. And then the other element that we created as far as an event was we have a black and white or a formal New Year's Eve gala where we have Tejano music predominantly to celebrate bringing in the new year. So those are our events that we're creating, but we've continued to work, and our vision and dream is to have a building and have a cultural center that will be all part of what our goal is.
All right. But the big thing now is the kickoff that's happening this
Correct.
week. All right. And then next Monday is the banquet.
Yeah, the Hispanic Heritage Month banquet. Yeah, it's going to be at the McNeese Convention Center. The other fun thing that I forgot to mention is that's going to happen that morning is Dr. Hernandez is going to speak to all the fifth graders at San Angelo Independent School District. They will be bussed over to the auditorium downtown at the city auditorium.
Okay.
And he will speak to the students. I believe he was 12 years old when he decided that he wanted to become an astronaut. And I'm not going to ruin the movie for you because it's really very interesting as to how all of that worked out for him and what he had to endure and what he had to do to reach his goal of becoming an astronaut, a dream that started with him when he was 12 years old. The other element too that's interesting about his career is that he was part of a team that developed the mammogram, the fully digitized mammogram.
Okay.
And so he's an engineer by trade. So very, very interesting individual. And I know that
Oh, he's got his plate full with engineering and astronauts and everything.
right. So it'll be very interesting. Of course, we've got the Lakeview Mariachis,
Right.
and we'll have some other entertainment that evening with a nice meal associated with it. So,
All right. Well, did I miss anything?
nope, you got it all.
All right. Well, Mr. Valasquez, thank you for coming in today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Back to you guys.
When it comes to unique pieces you can't find anywhere else, Kano's Diamonds and Coins is your one-stop shop. With over 24 years in the diamond and coin industry, Kano's Diamonds and Coins is West Texas's choice for diamonds, jewelry, coins, silver, and gold. Owner Bill Kano stands by his work and offers free consultations, including estate jewelry. Don't just trust anyone with your valuables. Come see the staff at Kano's at 1016 West Beauregard in San Angelo.
Thanks for watching the Live Daily News Show, the only locally owned news show in the Concho Valley. Go like us on Facebook, X, and other social media platforms, and download the San Angelo Live mobile app to stay up to date with news from in and around the Concho Valley. Thanks again, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.